Hello and welcome to the Maiden Romance podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Bailey, and we also have my co-host here, Sab, aka SR7.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello. And on today's podcast, we also have a guest, author Kathey Gray. Welcome to the podcast.
Buenos dias.
Hello. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good.
Good. Okay, so we're just gonna get straight into this today's topic. We're going to be talking about how to deal with reviews and reviews in general. I know this probably is quite a controversial topic since people don't like to discuss reviews, especially not authors, but well, they do sometimes. But I thought this would be an interesting topic to talk about since, yeah,
it will be interesting. Okay, you've received quite a few. I've not received any because I've got nothing published. And Kat, you have some work published.
Yes, I have, and I have pretty decent reviews right now. that means that I was telling Sarah that means I don't think I've had enough reviews. So yeah. Whoever's listening, go review my books.
Yes, whoever's listening, go review our books.
Let's start this off right.
Go review our books. It's very important. I don't know who wants to start this topic off because obviously I'm the one who probably has the most reviews. But I don't know. I'll start off by talking about how to deal with reviews as an author. I think that's kind of what we were aiming to talk about today.
Cool.
I hope, and we're going to hopefully discuss reviews from a reader's point of view, because I think we are all readers as well as writers. And I know that some people say that authors shouldn't review books, and I'm like, but I was a reader before I became a writer, so that hasn't changed.
Who says this? Really, I've never heard anyone say that authors shouldn't review books.
I have on numerous occasions, and I'm always like, what?
I've never come across this. This is news to me. I don't ever review books and think twice about it, to be honest, because I just love I read a lot, and I'm going from a reader's perspective. But
yeah. I mean, I don't understand why, as an author, we can't review books. But hey, what? I know that there are like things like things that go against the terms of service for Amazon for like reviewing, like you can't review swap and things like that. But I have never review swapped in my life, so
Review swapped?
Yes.
What's that?
There's certain people. Well, if they review your book and you review their book, and you're not,
okay.
Which is against the terms of service. Okay, so don't go around offering that because it is not okay. Anyway, let's get onto the actual topic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I said, I'm probably the one with the most reviews. I guess one of the things that I kind of always like to say about reviews is they're not actually for authors. Reviews are for readers, and they're to help readers decide whether they want to read your book or not. Anyone who thinks that they're for you as an author is kind of delusional, because that's not what. Yes, they provide social proof that your book is being read, but they're really not for us, and I stand by that wholeheartedly. So even though I also, have had bad reviews, and I'm not going to lie and say that they haven't affected me, because they have, but it's not nice when people. It's not nice to read that someone doesn't like your book. Just going to put that out there.
Of course.
However, there's certain etiquette as an author is you don't respond to these people because they're not. The review isn't for you. I don't think I've ever responded to a negative review, and I've had several negative reviews. Some of them are, from people who I think have been actually quite insulting to me personally, which I don't think reviews should be about either. Anyway, and I just kind of now have developed a thick skin and gone, okay, well, those aren't my readers. If you don't like my book, then you're not my audience. And that's kind of how I deal with it, even if it does sting.
Mm.
I'm not going to come up with specific examples of this because I don't think that we should be sharing that kind of stuff.
No.
But I have, if I get upset about a review, I will probably talk about it privately and not publicly, because I don't think that it's okay. It's like, if you're seen as an author who bashes reviewers, then people are not going to pick. That's not very professional, I don't think. And, you know, that's my personal opinion. I don't know about anyone else.
I totally agree. I as a reader, my huge frustration is going on Goodreads, and basically, to me, Goodreads is it's like the Hunger Games of reviews. I just find there is a lot of obviously Goodreads is it's quite open, like you can swear and stuff in your reviews. I've seen that. I've seen a lot of intensity in people's opinions about books and stuff. But what I absolutely hate is really unconstructive criticism, where reviewers will insult the author. I find that so upsetting, and it always gives me massive anxiety because I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe there's people like this who pick on authors like this. And then it makes me worried about what happens when I publish eventually, how I'm going to deal with a really negative review where it's not necessarily my work that's, well, it would be my work that they criticize, but also maybe my intelligence, I don't know. Like my worst is I'm going to say this, Sarah, but I'm afraid of being criticised for not being British enough, because of something that Sarah had once in a review, which wasn't very pleasant. It was very, very strange. I find that absolutely bizarre. It's bizarre to me. But no, honestly, Goodreads gives me anxiety like you wouldn't believe. And I know what you say, Sarah, about reviews not being for the author, but they're for other people to kind of promote the work and get them to be intrigued by the writer's work. When I write reviews, I actually tend to, I think I do this anyway, I tend to try and make it a balance of feedback where I will praise the author for particular things. So in a way, it is for the author, because that's the kind of person that I am. I think, I don't know if it's just if other people do this, but I do tend to, if I feel that a writer has impressed me with their language or the plot or something like a twist that's completely blown my mind, then I will praise the author immensely. I often thank the author as well, because I find that it's nice. It's like my little message to them to say thank you for writing this story that impacted me in some way, because I think it's nice for a writer to hear that from a reader. I think that's like the greatest compliment. And I know that I'm notorious for giving like 5-star reviews, because I don't tend to give like below 5 stars, but then again, I don't review every book that I read. I'm quite a careful reviewer. I choose to review what books I want, because that's just I'm just weird that way. But yeah,
I don't think that's weird.
I don't think anyone complains about that. About 5-star reviews.
No.
People like you.
But it has to. The thing is, it has to impact me in a way, because I have like I don't make a note of all the books that I'm reading on Goodreads. So I have like maybe 6 other books that I've got on my Kindle, but I haven't put them as currently reading on Goodreads, because at the moment I'm not entirely sure like how I'd feel about the book. So and oh yeah, and I have to say, I'm more likely to review indie authors' books as opposed to other authors who are well known, like who have like millions and thousands of people adoring their work. And that's because I like to show support to indie authors. It's just who I am. I like to pick up indie authors' books and be like, I may like this, I may not, we'll see. And then if it impacts me, then I'll review it and I'll be honest, because I don't ever lie in my reviews. If I don't like a book, I will not review it. I will just be like, I'm just gonna put that aside and let that fade into wherever it will fade. But I won't ever make it like public knowledge. I'm very careful as a reviewer. I'm really, really careful.
And merciful.
Yeah, I am. I'm very different from Sarah. Sarah's a savage, but we know this already. Like, I've seen some of her reviews.
Sarah the Savage.
Honestly, I've seen some of her reviews for books, and I'm like, damn, you went there with the like 3 stars, with the 2 stars, with the what is going on? Oh my god, no. But most of the time, Sarah tells me about books that she's read where she's had to like. She can't continue because it's like, you know, something's just gotten to her immensely. So I often hear about these books. I'm like, oh, but I like Sarah for that actually, because she's not afraid to say how a book has made her feel, whereas I'm afraid of. I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not confident, I guess, in just like giving 3 stars and stuff to books I don't like. I'd rather just not say. I don't know if that's merciful or me being a coward. I don't really know, but I just wouldn't want to do that. But yeah. What about you, Kat?
Okay. Sorry. I'm like losing my voice over here. It's been too long since I've spoken.
All good.
When it comes to, well, I am awkward. I was telling Sean that, like, he was saying, you know, I had listened to him just the other day, and you guys had him on, and then so I was like, I told him, I was like, I'm listening to you squirm right now because they're saying good things about you. And then I was like, well, you can listen to me be awkward because I am totally awkward. Anyone who's read One Drunk Text will know that the reflecting of Corinne's awkwardness is definitely instilled.
Really?
And so, I'm totally awkward.
But then again, like I haven't spoken to you before. This is the first time, so I don't get a vibe from you. But it's sweet. I really loved One Drunk Text, by the way. It's such a lovely book. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, and you reviewed it. And so that was awesome. Speaking of reviews, but yeah, I haven't gotten a very bad review yet, and I just don't have enough yet because I know one's coming, and I think every author just prepares himself for that. We just know that, I mean, it's going to happen eventually.
I think.
And then we're just kind of ready with our like tough skin and waiting for it. But my writers group, I run a writers group, and they say that when you get your first 1 star, that's a good thing. So I'm like, because it means you know, whatever. I guess it means
you've made it.
You haven't. You've I think strong reactions are a good thing, whether it's negative or not. Even if it is negative, it's a strong reaction. So evoking any kind of strong reaction in a reader kind of means you did.
This is true. No, actually,
at least you evoke something.
No, I would agree with that completely.
Yeah, you made them feel passionately, even if it was kind of not the best kind of passion.
No.
And you know what? They read it to the end. It was so bad, but most of the time they kept reading it.
It's true. and I always wonder about reviewers like that. I've seen that where they have bashed a book and then they're like, oh, don't think I'm going to read the next book from this author. And then they read the next book and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What are you doing? I'm just like, I really have to. And then they reviewed that second book and it's really bad. It's like they tear into it. And I'm thinking, I bet you're going to read the third book, like for sure. Do you know what? I don't know. I don't know about some of these readers. I feel like some of them are just trolls. It just really gets to me when I just, I don't know what it is. It's not even my work either. I just get that way when I see I think there's a difference between people being honest and then people just being nasty. I
Yeah.
think that there's a huge difference, and you can tell in what you're reading, and it's just, I don't know. I prefer it when they say, "Oh, I would have given like 3 stars," or "I would have given 2 stars if the author did X, Y, and Z." That's fine because you've given a reason. You've kind of said like, you know, what you would have preferred to have seen in this story, what something would have done for you in order for you to boost up your review, rather than someone just saying, I think that this plot is absolutely ridiculous. Like, how is this believable? And, and it's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But also, there's one, and I keep losing my train of thought. It's when, and this is solely on the reader for just being really, really silly and not paying attention. But they pick up a romance book, and I'm only going to talk about romance books because on Goodreads I can see a lot of, when I like focus on liking romance books and stuff like that, I look at the reviews. So that's what I'm talking about, particularly romance books, where they pick up a romance book and the author has actually stated there are trigger warnings and this is a dark romance, or you know, this has a cliffhanger at the end of it, but the reader doesn't pay attention to that, and then they go into this book and then they're like, I didn't know that this was going to be so dark, or I can't believe that this was a cliffhanger. The author didn't say that. And I'm like, you just, how can you like lower your review? I just don't like it. To me, it doesn't make any sense. You've just wasted everyone's time reading this book because you've not paid attention, and then you've just given like 2 stars or something. It's just a waste to me. It's just like, for goodness sake. It just gets to me, and that's just, as a reader, I'm just like, oh, these people. I'm sorry, a little bit ranty.
Sab feels very strongly on the subject of reviews, clearly.
I haven't even published, like I haven't even gotten a review or anything, but it's just what I see frustrates me so much. Oh my goodness, it really does.
And I see like Sarah's side too. Like I don't, if I know what I said about the 1-star reviews, but it's like a two-sided coin, you know, because then your actual emotions are involved in that story. And I feel like, getting a 1-star or just a bad review in general too, at the same time, it would be hard for me to just like, you know, show the business side and not get emotionally wounded by it.
No, cool.
appreciate the review and the reviewee or reviewer, and not take it personally. Like I think it's hard for us to, but if you can, just look at it as the business perspective of it. I think it's pretty mature.
I think so.
And shows your growth as an author.
That's true. I think when I do publish, I think I'm going to repeat an affirmation of, I'm doing this for me, just so that I don't get it in my head that I want like so many people to like my story, because at the end of the day I'm writing for me because it's my dream. It's within me to want to write stories and see my books on a shelf. It's my ultimate dream. It's what I love to do. I love to create stories, and it's more about writing for me is more about creating these beautiful stories that do have readers like thinking, oh, this is so sweet, or this is so great, or you know, that'd be wonderful for me. But at the end of the day, I just have to think to myself, this is my achievement, and no matter what anyone says, it will always be an achievement to me, because it's part of me. So I think I don't know, it's just so nerve-wracking to think, oh, I'm gonna get published and then something like these negative reviews will come or something. It may not happen, but it probably will. But it's just about getting used to it, I guess, and not letting it touch you. So yeah, I totally agree. Not all of them are bad. I've seen so many authors go on Twitter and say, I've got my first 1 star, and they celebrate it because, it's like, yeah, I've seen it. They proper celebrate. They're like, does this mean I've made it? Like, someone, like, sometimes these reviews are just like one word where it's like the reviewer says okay, and it's like 1 star, and I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what is this? That makes no sense. You've said nothing. Okay, what? Like, what? I don't know. I've seen it. This is what I mean. I've seen it, and Goodreads, honestly.
I feel so new because, like, I didn't even know about the Goodreads review world, and then my writers group told me about it, and I went and started, like, investigating, and I was like, oh, wow. When I started actually reading the reviews and how lengthy. They can be very lengthy and detailed, and they can go on, and they can rant.
Yeah.
I didn't know that before.
It's true. Like, sometimes reviewers get all fancy with it, and they put, like, GIFs and stuff, and they really, I mean, depending on whether it's a good review or a bad review, some readers have a lot of time on their hands where they will literally, they'll go all out to justify their reasons behind reviewing this book. I've seen really funny reviews actually on Goodreads, but at the same time, I can understand why someone has received such negative reviews, because of all the examples that are within their work that is just absolutely bizarre and makes no sense and has really bad reviews, like low stars. And I've seen Sarah sometimes sends me like funny reviews and stuff, and it's not even mean, it's not insulting as such, but I think it's just, when you read it, you're like, oh my goodness. And it's when the reviewer starts quoting stuff from the book, you're like, oh wow, I see now, I understand. And then it's kind of very, very cringeworthy. But yeah, sorry, I'm talking
that
so
is
much.
We're listening.
This is definitely...
And you have such a pleasant voice. Like, I like to listen to your guys' voice. And like, I'm like, your voices are like soothing.
I'm just gonna say this. I cannot listen to an episode. I can't listen to my voice.
Really?
I never listen back.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's it. That's me in my own voice. I think everyone feels like that about their own voice.
Yeah.
But your guys' voices are so soothing, and I was like, oh god, I'm about to join in, and I don't have a voice like that. Have you guys seen For a Good Time Call? I think it's a movie. I think it's called For a Good Time Call. I think that's the title.
No, I haven't.
And they're like call girls. Not that this is anything related to the podcast. But anyway, they have really pleasant voices, and I kind of think that about you guys. I'm like, God, they could be call girls.
Oh my god.
Do you know what?
Okay.
Do you know what? I will actually say this.
That's a compliment. Let me give it to
One
you.
time. Oh my god, I can't even.
On this show, you can't even. I've heard you guys.
It's compliments. So. It's compliments. I can't do them.
Oh, that's why you can't even. Oh, okay.
But like, I remember a few years ago when I finished uni, I wanted to dip my toe into the publishing industry. So I was doing internships, and I was doing one for a publishing company, and I hadn't been answering the phone because I had no telephone etiquette. And the admin, basically my manager, was like, you need to start answering the phone. And I was like, oh my god, okay. And I remember I had what I had to say. Like, you know, when you pick up the phone and you're working for a company, you say, like, good afternoon, blah, 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 blah. How can I help? So that was like my standard greeting. And I picked up the phone and I said my greeting. And there was this long pause. And this man said, I'm really sorry, but you have such a lovely voice, like a really beautiful voice. And I was like, what do I say to that? I don't know what to say. I was like, thank you. He was like, yeah, okay, sorry, I'm just calling for X, Y, and Z. I was like, okay.
Oh.
I was like, okay, I'll see if I can help you. And then I said, okay, I'll put you through to this person. And then he was like, yeah, okay, have a nice day. I was like, okay, thanks, you too. And I was just like, so that was like the most random thing ever. I was like, what the hell is that? No, honestly, what do you say?
Yeah.
And like, so what is absolutely hilarious is I started working for the hospital, and again, I had to answer the phone and stuff. And my partner, he worked for the hospital as well, so he had my extension number. And one time he called me, and I didn't know it was him, so I answered with the greeting, and he was like, you have an amazing voice. And I'm like, what is going on? And I didn't even know it was him. And I was like, oh my God. And you know when like there's an awkward silence on the phone because you're like, what do you say? And then he was like, I'm just messing with you. I was like, what are you doing? Stop this. But this happens.
Why
often.
am I not surprised about
No, it just, yeah, he's not okay.
He sounds playful, so that sounds good.
Yes.
But yeah.
We haven't got to hear from you enough,
Oh
Sarah.
God, okay.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happened. This is the most I think I've talked on any episode.
No, I feel like I'm talking more too. I feel like I'm like, where's Sarah?
Sorry,
just
Sarah.
listening. I was just listening.
Sorry.
For once,
right.
because it's normally me talking the entire time.
Oh, she likes it.
Do you actually want me to like say something? Because I can, you know.
Oh, I just
no. I don't know if Sarah's like trying to say something, and I'm like, not.
Nah, bruv, I'm not trying to say. No. I can say something, obviously. Let's actually go back to the topic at hand rather than talking about our voices.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'm the one who has to edit these podcasts, and I have to listen to everyone's voices again, including my own. I'm the one.
So
no, it's fine. I've kind of got used to having to listen to my own voice.
Oh wait, I do have one more thing to say about the topic, though.
Yes.
Right. So this is.
Okay.
This is something that I've seen as well. That I always wonder whether it's right to do or not to do. Okay, where I've seen indie authors tweet and say, I've received this review from this person, but I don't think it's accurate. I don't think it's right. I don't believe in their review, and I feel like I need to say something to them so they can change their review.
No.
And I'm like, what?
No.
I'm
bad.
Like, how do you do that? Like, why would you do that? But it's like, it just baffles me. And I'm like, is this normal practice? Because I would never ever do that.
No.
No.
I've never thought of that before.
Honestly. It's not okay. It's very, very.
Okay.
Go on.
You should never, ever, ever, ever respond to a review, ever. Unless the only time I've ever responded to a review was because they were asking if I had more books. And so I literally just said, yes, there are more books coming. That wasn't even about the review of that book. But I don't respond to reviews. That is the biggest no-no. As any author, whether you're an indie, a hybrid, or traditional published, do not respond to reviews. It's not worth it. And when people see that, you just don't, they will not like it. It's just not, no. I'm sorry if I sounded really stern right now,
No,
but
it's okay.
this is the subject that really, really pisses me off, because I'm like, you do not look like a professional if you do that. You're not graciously taking the fact that it's like, when we publish, not everyone's going to like your book. You know, you've just got to put yourself in a reader's shoes. You don't like every book, so why would everyone therefore like your book? It's not a difficult sub concept to understand, and I just find it incredibly arrogant when people go, oh, I'm going to respond to this review. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, do you want to make yourself look bad? Because that's all you're doing. And that's then invites trolls into your life. And I have seen it happen, and I'm like, do not invite trolls into your life. That's not going to help you. This is going to get you a bunch of 1-star reviews in retaliation. So don't do it. Like, my advice is just do not engage in that respect.
So what happens if a reviewer has written a really positive review? Are you not allowed? Can you just like it, or are you not allowed to comment? And say,
I used to like them, and now I don't anymore, because actually I don't think that I just don't engage anymore, because I don't think that it's. I have now got several books and too many to sit there. I don't have time to do it.
Yeah.
And 2, it's just like, it doesn't really do anything. You know, I don't need to do that. The only time I ever really acknowledge a review is if someone's tagged me in a positive review on social media, and I just thank them. But I don't say, or they tell me that I've had people like message me and say that I really enjoyed your book, and I'm like, thank you, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I will not engage further than that, because I don't, unless they want to talk to me about the book, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
But like, I would, it's perfectly fine to like acknowledge it if someone's tagged you in a positive review and say thank you, because that's, you're just wanting to be like nice. And I think actually it's quite professional to do that. Whereas, like, just if the reviewer has not engaged with you, don't therefore insert yourself in and engage with them. Let your readers come to you, because that's I think the more obviously, because I've been doing this for over 2 years now, I kind of reached a point where I'm like, well, if a reviewer wants to reach out to me, that's fine. But if they don't, then I'm not going to like say anything, because mine, once you release your book into the wild, it therefore becomes it's no longer, you're still your book, but it's no longer really your book, if that makes sense, because it's now, readers can interpret it any way they want, and you don't really have a choice in that manner, because you put yourself out there, you are going to get people who don't like your book, and you're also going to get people who love your book. And that's what I prefer, to concentrate on the fact that most people who read my book enjoy it, because then they read more of my books. If you focus on the negative reviews, you're just going to get yourself into a mess, and it's really not worth it, honestly. I'm not going to tell you that getting a negative review isn't horrible. The first time I got one, I was actually really upset about it, because I was like, this, someone doesn't like my book, and they, oh my God. And then I realized, actually, that doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Like, what you get 1 star, but then you've got like 50 5-star reviews. Why would then that 1-star review really matter, if you think about it? But yeah, I'm not going to lie and say that getting negative reviews it's very unpleasant on the author, because that's your work. You've put your heart and soul into it, or at least most writers do. And it's in a way an extension of you, but then you've kind of got to realize that you've got to separate the art from the artist. And as a reader, you've got to do that, but also as an author, you have to, because you publish, you're inviting people into your piece of art. And it's like with, going to a museum and seeing paintings or a gallery, people are going to judge your work. That's just what art, I'm afraid that's what happens with art.
No, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, my opinion on it is, don't ever respond to reviewers. Don't engage unless they engage with you and tell you that they enjoy your work. Then of course, thank them. You don't have to engage further than that unless they want to. but obviously always try and be gracious as an author. I think the biggest thing is because I just don't see the point in getting aggravated by these things, because you're just you then feel like shit, and that's not a pleasant feeling. And then you're gonna get like, I've seen this happen. I've seen people go on about reviews on Goodreads, or sorry, on Twitter or social media, and then that invites trolls into your life, and then they get 1 starred, and I'm like, and the person's not even read the book on Goodreads, and it's like, why would you invite that into your life? Like, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, exactly. When you get a bit too, you know, cocky with it, and you just like,
and it's incredibly arrogant to think that, you know, everyone's gonna love your book. It's like, what? You don't even love every book you read, so why would it be the same for your book? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that subject, I guess.
It's very helpful, thank you.
Well, hopefully, like, yes, I'm not. If your feelings get hurt over a 1-star review, that is perfectly acceptable. I'm not saying don't be hurt, because you probably will be, but don't be public about it. Talk to your friends, talk to your fellow authors. Do it in private. Essentially, don't put it out for the world to see, because we all know bad reviews hurt, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you still got you're a professional, so you've got to kind of take it on the chin. That sounds really harsh, but it's, if you were like, it's like in any job, you can't just go around, you know, if you worked in customer service and someone said you're a shitty customer service representative, you kind of just have to go, okay, I understand that. But
I mean, you're not going to like quit your job.
Exactly. You're not going to like have a go at your customer. So why would you then do the same as a writer to your readers? To me, it's like, your readers are your customers. It's the same principle. And yeah, I've just seen so many people get into these situations where they respond to reviews, or they talk about reviews or negative reviews, and then they get in, then there's this whole discourse about it, and then they get trolls following them, and I'm just like, you know. And I've even seen like writers who are like quite big indie authors. This actually happened. I'm not going to name the name of the author, but I was in their reader group on Facebook, and then they started having a go about their latest. They'd sent out ARC reviews, advanced reader copies, and then someone had like given them 3 stars, and admittedly there were spoilers in it, and I can understand why that would annoy because on Goodreads you can mark that they're spoilers in that part of the review. And so, yes, don't put spoilers in your reviews. Okay, that's not really okay. But she then, fine, I can understand that as a criticism. But if you then go onto your readers group and then have a go at this person over it and say, you shouldn't be posting this shit. And when I went then and found this review and I saw it was 3 stars, I was like, you're just making yourself look bad. You're making yourself look like you are telling people they can't rate your book 3 stars, as opposed to don't put spoilers on your book. And I was like, I don't respect you as an author anymore because of that. And I then no longer read that person's books, and I no longer I left their Facebook group. So I'm like, I'm not gonna, that's like. And then the worst part about it is her readers then went after this person on Goodreads. And I'm like, don't send your readers after don't send your readers after other people. That's just like bullying. And
yeah, it's like a little witch hunt, isn't it?
Exactly. And I don't think that's okay. And that's why I will always recommend, do not respond to reviews.
Yeah.
Don't say anything to other people. Don't, yes, you can like show off your positive reviews. Fine. If you want to do that, that's great. But don't get engaged. Don't get into this thing where because you're just going to make yourself look bad. And why would you want to do that? Like, why? You want people to want to read you. You want people to see you and respect you as an author. And if you do shit like this, it just makes me lose respect for that person. And so I can imagine it makes other people lose respect. And I've actually seen this happen where other reviews came in and they were like, I've seen this author do this. I'm never going to read them again because they've sent their readers after a review, and I don't think it's okay. And I'm like, well, you're just digging yourself a hole.
Do you think maybe that's why there's this thing where they say that authors shouldn't review books? Because let's say you as an author, you have your own books, and then you read a book who obviously has like a massive fan base, and you didn't quite like it, and then you come out with the 1-star review, and then all the crazy fangirls and fanboys go after you and start then tearing into your work. Do you think that that's why there's this apparent thing in the ether about authors not being allowed to
I think there's something to do. I think there are a lot of reasons why people say authors shouldn't review other people's books. There is kind of there's a thing where if you're be seen to reviewing your competition, that doesn't look good on you. If you're be seen to be deliberately trashing other authors, that doesn't look good on you. People think that it's not supportive if you don't review your fellow authors 5 stars, those types of things. And I say to that, well, that's bullshit, because one, I'm not here to make other people look good if I don't like their books. This is just on a personal level. I am a supportive person. I want to support the community. I want to support other writers, but that doesn't mean that every book I'm going to read I like. My policy on reviewing books probably going to be, some people won't agree with it, and that's fine. I don't review books that I don't finish, because I don't believe that I can review a book I haven't finished, because I haven't seen the full product. And 2, I don't review everything. I will say this, I don't review everything I read. If I really don't like the book and I know the person or I know the author, I probably won't review it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to invite that sort of problem into between us.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's the same for me.
I don't say that I'm reading the person's book. I don't say anything, because I just don't think I don't want to get into that situation. But as we know, I have reviewed books from people I don't know, and I've given them low-starred reviews because I didn't enjoy the book. I will never bash the author personally. I will never talk about the author personally, particularly, other than to say, I enjoyed some of their other books, but I didn't like this one. I will never say anything negative about on a personal level about the author. It's all about how I felt about the story. Some people might have seen my 1-star reviews on some books, 1 or 2 stars, and I can be quite blunt and savage, as Sab has said. However, it is only ever related to the story and how that story made me feel. And that is my policy, is that I will review books if I don't like them, and I will say why I don't like them. But it has nothing to do with the author. I don't have any beef with the author as a personal level, because I know that not everyone likes my books. The same applies to everyone else. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I was a reader long before I became a writer. And I strongly believe that I'm still a reader, and I still should be able to enjoy books and rate them and review them in the way that I feel that and give my true feelings, because at the end of the day, my reviews are not for the author, they're for the readers. And if someone else doesn't like that, well, feel free to have a go at me about it, and I'll just be like, well, that's your problem, not mine. But I'm like that about anything in life. If someone has a problem, unless it's not on me to kind of soothe someone else's feelings, because I don't write these things to deliberately offend people or say nasty things. I don't want to write bad reviews. That's not what I set out to do. But if I don't like a book, then how am I, if I'm not honest about it, then I don't feel like I'm being genuine as a person. And I believe in being authentic and genuine. So there's my position on it. If you don't like it, fine. That's fine. I can understand why some people don't do that. They don't want to give a bad review to a book. I respect that position, but I have to say to people, well, you have to respect my position as well, because I'm not doing this to be a dick. I'm just being honest. And in a world where people get offended for everything, honesty is a hard thing to come by sometimes.
Yes, I agree.
You know, we live in a world where everyone gets offended by everything, and I'm just like, well, I just don't care anymore. Like, you can be offended. I don't set out to offend people, but I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And I can apologize, but at the end of the day, you just made the decision to be offended by what I said. I've never like I never say anything that's like outly horribly offensive to people. Like, I'm not, you know, I don't say anything about people's, I don't know. Anyway, let's not get into that side of things. But yeah, there you go. But have I talked enough now?
Yes, we've heard
Okay,
you now.
good.
But yeah, I feel like I agree with you there about I mean, people are entitled to their opinion, and I don't think an author should. I mean, they should just respect that. Like, it's for the book, it's for the reader. So I believe that. And then I think you guys are really graceful about reviews, actually. But I am gonna check out Sarah's 1-star reviews now.
Oh my god!
I kind of want to see them.
Well,
I'm kind of curious.
some of them are quite brutal, as Sab would say. I'm not gonna lie, some of them are quite brutal.
I'm just as an author, I'm just grateful when someone takes the time to review my book. I'm just already grateful. So, I mean, I guess when I get a bad one, I'll know how I really feel.
True.
But I'm already happy. I'm like, thank you. You took time, you know, to express how you felt.
There's a Jack Sparrow gif that is probably like is my favorite, where he's like, but you have heard of me, like, because, you know, in the movie, like, they're like, you're the worst pirate I've ever heard of, and he's like, but you have heard of me. So it's like, I always think of that in some way when someone comes at you for something. You're just like, but you're taking the time to say this to me, so you know.
You did read my book. You did read my book. Well, actually, me and Sab were talking about one of my I had some negative reviews recently, and means I was telling Sab about it. I try not to tell you about it because I know how you feel about
I get so triggered.
She gets so triggered. It's fine. This person's just, you know, whatever. And then Sab just goes off on one, and I'm like, whoa, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. But I did have, as Sab said, someone actually, I'm not going to, again, I don't want to like name names, I don't want to talk about this too much, but I did actually have someone accuse me of not being, like, being an American, who was writing British characters, and I was like, okay, that's the weirdest criticism I've ever had in my life. Like, did you even go and look at my profile? Because it quite clearly states about, okay, okay. I'm not going to say what else they said. However, I was just thought it was like the weirdest criticism I've ever received. And that was like in a personal, you know, a personal observation. And I was like, why did you need to go there? Like, also, that's inaccurate. Did you even take, you know, why bring that into it? It's not, you know. And the funny thing about it is, yes, I am British, but I think people don't realize how much each other's cultures have kind of blended into each other. And that sometimes, yes, I will use I will say words that are probably Americanisms, just because I've been exposed to American culture so heavily throughout my entire life that sometimes I do say things that are probably seen to be as American. And I'm like, so do a lot of people I know who are British. And I just don't see why this would be a negative, you know. Anyway, we won't discuss that any further. But my point is that I have received personal insults or personal observations against me, and I'm just like, why did you feel the need to put this in there? Like, one, go and look at go and make sure that you actually are being accurate.
It's true.
Because they can.
Yeah, they can. And I just kind of like, well, fine, if that's how you feel, whatever. But like, you know, I like I said, I have received personal stuff leveled at me. Like one time, someone said in a review that that the author must not be as bloodthirsty as I am because they didn't kill off this certain character. And I'm like, Jesus Christ! I was like,
I've only read one of your books, Sarah, so I'm like, but I've noticed they seem kind of intense too. So I was wondering if your readers are equally as intense.
I think some of them are actually.
I mean, 100%. Like, I'm really bloodthirsty, and so I do ask for that. I mean, I don't ask Sarah for it because, you know, but like when there is scenes of intensity, I'm just like, yes. But
but I just think I can understand because like I don't shy away from topics such as people killing each other. I have to admit there have been deaths in my books, but I don't think that it's always appropriate to kill everyone off. Like.
No, not always.
And I'm like, what? I was just, the funny thing is just like, this person, yes, he's probably one of the most horrifying characters I've ever written. I'm not going to lie. He was a villain. However, I was like, he went to prison. So I don't know, like, what else you expected me to do. Like, do you want me to have him killed off in prison? Like, dude, chill.
Like,
yeah, they do.
I'm not gonna lie. I would have happily seen that character die, but that's just like.
But you weren't like gonna get upset about with.
No. I remember saying to Sarah. I remember you saying to Sarah, I want him to die, but like,
Wait, Sab. Can I call
yeah,
you
yeah.
Sab?
Oh yeah, I much prefer Sab,
okay.
definitely, yeah.
Did you? Okay, I'm still, holding on to the fact that you said. Did you say you were bloodthirsty?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I know, I don't come across it probably in the podcast episodes, but I'm fully, yeah. I've got my pirate series, and there's a lot of death in there. Like, there's a lot. They don't even think twice about it. It's like, you know, they're pirates.
Yeah, but they're pirates.
Yeah, they're pirates. Like, I actually love it. I love it. I don't know.
She is like. Sab's actually really, really brutal and savage, but she doesn't show
it. I thought you were the savage one. It's always the ones you don't expect.
Oh no, we're both
call each other savage sisters.
Yeah, we're both really, really bad. But we probably just It's probably
just
not.
I think what it is Sab cares more about not looking savage, whereas I'm like, I don't really care what people think of me, so if I'm going to be savage,
okay.
Whereas Sab's just like, I don't want people to think I'm savage, and I'm like, but you are savage. I have to listen to the savagery.
Yeah, Sarah gets it every single day. I could be really, really bad. But okay. I'm only like that with people that I get close to.
Yeah, you are.
Like, yeah, of course.
So she's a secret. She's a secret.
Yeah.
So apparently now I'm like a public savage. I don't know. No, you don't have to do it. I get these like long, when Sab's driving home from work, I get these long voice notes, and then suddenly, whilst she's talking, she'll suddenly like go off on one about, because she's got, okay, do you mind me telling everyone that you have Sab has really bad road rage?
I really intense road rage, yeah.
Like
really, really intense.
Really like, so it's really funny.
This is so funny.
She'll be talking about the subject, and suddenly she'll just like go off on one, and I'm just like, oh Jesus, not this again.
And sometimes her husband could like hear this in the voice note. He's like, what? I forget that he can hear what I'm saying.
Sometimes I'll just be in the room with my husband, and I'll be playing a voice note. Suddenly, and then he's just like, what? He's like, is Sab okay? And I'm, yeah, she's fine. Don't worry about it. I think
that's what it is. Driving in London, no. Mm-hmm. I swear, I could have had the best day ever, just chilled. But as soon as I get behind the wheel, they're just, oh God, they're just.
To be fair, though, like Sam, I used to have bad road rage when I lived down south. Now I live in Scotland, where there's not that many bad drivers. I don't get it as bad.
Sarah, you don't even voice note me when you're driving anymore. Like, you don't.
Because I
You
rarely
don't go.
drive.
You don't go anywhere.
I don't go anywhere because there's nowhere for me to fucking well go. We've been in lockdown for how many months? Hey, in Scotland, okay, there was a 5-mile driving limit. You couldn't go anywhere, and I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, where am I supposed to go? Like, and the only other time I've been in the car in the last kind of since March is to drive my husband to the shops, which is like 2 or 3 miles away, or 5 minutes away. I'm not going to be road raging in the car when there's no one on the road, you know.
Road raging the geese that like go by on the ducks.
Hey man, they stay in the duck pond, so I don't even road rage about them. The only animals that I see in a drive is cows and sheep, and they're not really doing anything.
Oh my gosh, where you? Okay, so Sarah, you live in like kind of like my dream place, by the way. Scotland. I'm kind of obsessed with.
I live in the middle of nowhere in Scotland. No, I live in the Highlands, and I actually live in the proper mountain range.
Ooh.
Like that's genuine.
That's awesome.
So that and there's about what I think in my town there's about 1,400 people. Not very much.
Mm-hmm.
Not very much at all.
I live in a smaller town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you guys were talking about was this the last episode? Gosh, I can't even keep up. You guys were talking about was it you guys? God, I don't even remember. About how people are friendly.
Oh yes,
Scotland. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's how it is here. So I was like, yeah. So I was from the city, Los Angeles. That's where I'm from, and we moved here. And when we moved, it was like, I think it was like what Sab said, how people, like, I don't know who said it, but people in England are more like, if you smile at them, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But so when I came here, it was the same thing. Everyone was smiling and waving, and I was just like, why? Who is that? Do we know them? Why are they waving at me? And I had to learn too, the same thing. Like, oh, they're being friendly.
You have to kind of like get used to it and adjust to it.
Yeah, like funny. It's really funny. It's not the entirety of England. It's actually the southeast of England where there's this bubble of London and the surrounding area.
The worst part.
It's just like people are just savages out there in the streets.
It's so true.
Just savages in the streets. Because I was born and raised in the south of England. I wasn't born in London, but I was born south of London, and so it's not quite as bad, but it's still quite bad there. So I was used to this kind of, everyone doesn't talk to each other, you don't look at each other type thing. And then when I first moved up to Scotland when I was a teenager, because my mum lives up here, I was kind of like taken aback by how friendly everyone was and how nice people were. What the fuck? Like, why are you being nice to me? This is not normal. And then I had to get used to it. And then I went back down south, and everyone was, because I lived back down south again, everyone was really miserable. And I was just like, I'm not used to this anymore. And then I had to get back used to people being horrible, miserable bastards to each other. And then, of course, when me and my husband moved up to Scotland again, and I was like, oh, everyone's going to be really nice because we're going to live in a really small town. And like, he was just like really weirded out by it. And he's used to it now because we've been here like a year and a half. But yeah, it was it's a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And especially a rural area anyway.
I would fit in well in Scotland because it's basically like coming from where I am now. And I was telling Sab, I think I kind of weirded her out because I don't have like any graceful or like subtle way to say things. I usually just say them. And I was like, hey, where do you live? And she was like, why? And I was like, oh, I just want to know how far you guys are apart because you're best friends. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, why? Are you going to visit? And I was like, I want to.
No, honestly.
We used to be closer.
Oh, yeah. It used to be. Yeah, it was like, how far away was it when you used to live?
I think it used to be like, it took me like about 40 minutes to get a train into London. It wasn't, yeah. But even that, the funny
Well,
thing
it's
is
important.
now it's like an hour plane ride.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So technically we're not, although I have to then drive an hour to the airport. So then there's that as well.
It's not actually too
Yeah.
bad. When I got on the plane to go and visit Sarah, it was less than an hour. I was really impressed. I was like, I've got time to write. But then I blinked and then I was there. I was like, what?
It's
But,
really
um,
fast, actually.
Yeah, it really is. And it's very comfortable. I really enjoy it. I love Scotland. Oh, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back.
The UK is quite a lot smaller than America, so flying take very long.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, if you're doing domestic flights anyway.
Yeah, I didn't even need to whip out my passport. It was amazing. It was like, I was so anxious because, when you go to the airport, you're like, do you got your passport? But I didn't need a passport to get to Scotland because it's a domestic flight. And I was just like really amazed by that. I kept thinking any minute now they're going to ask my passport, but they didn't.
No, they don't. You can go on as long as you have like photo ID. They don't really care what it is. Well, they do, but there's certain IDs that you have to use, like your driving license. That you can do that, but I usually take my passport anyway. But
Yeah.
not that I've flown in like. I haven't flown for ages. I was meant to go down and see Sab in April, but however, when we went into lockdown, so that kind of was put scuppered to those plans.
Bummer. That's a bummer.
And then, of course, our two countries had different lockdown procedures, so then there's that as well.
Always got to be different.
Let's not talk about the comparison between England and Scotland.
I will say you guys are better, okay? I'll just throw it out there. You guys are better in terms of your rules for lockdown compared to us. It's just like,
well, we're technically still in one of the stages of lockdown, so we're not fully open yet as a country. So we've been eased out of it, and we don't. I think like we don't have as many cases in Scotland, but then again, our population is a lot smaller. I think the last kind of consensus here, there's about 7 million people who live in Scotland in comparison to like 60 million people who live in England, or whatever, how many million people it is. So that kind of shows you the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's not talk about our governments. We've gone off topic now.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I did.
Don't worry about it. Like, it was hilarious because Sean was like, "Are you sure that people won't mind you going off topic in our podcast?" I was like, "No, I don't think anyone cares."
I don't, and I listen to it all the time. So I love your guys' podcast. So I just want to, I might make you swoon right now. But yeah, I was just going to tell you guys that listening to your guys' podcast and different perspectives and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's all in good fun, a lot of it, but I think it has improved me as a writer.
Really?
Drop that there.
Wow, I'm on it.
Because you guys have brought up topics of things that I have never even considered in the reader's perspective, and it's made me go back and reinvestigate my work. And so yeah, I think listening to this podcast has actually made me a better writer. So to put that out there, because I don't know if you get told things like that.
That's amazing.
No, we don't.
Oh wow,
I'm actually amazed.
Yes. Yes.
We actually have a use for our podcast. We just do this for fun. No.
It's like,
well, you give out a lot of information when you're doing it for fun. Like, I don't know if you know you're doing it, but you're giving out a lot of useful information.
Well,
as the reader and as the writer, what people want in books, in romance books.
I think that's kind of like that was our aim when we started this podcast. Just
like
to give more information and to actually talk about not necessarily the easy topics when it comes. Because a lot of people, I think, shy away from talking about like.
Oh yeah, they do.
And I'm just like, yeah, we're just going to say it how it is because one we're British and that's kind of what we do. And me and Sab are quite opinionated, I think. Like we don't we don't like outwardly show this on like our social media, but we are very opinionated, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I mean, I can be very quiet on social media. I don't often engage that much. So like every so often I'll post like a picture on Instagram or something, or like something on Twitter, but I'm not overly on there all the time and stuff like that. I don't really voice my frustrations. When I have frustrations about stuff, it's always Sarah I go to. If I see something in the writing community, I'm like, why? But yeah, I'm just like, what the hell is happening? What is going on? But yeah, no, I really, when Sarah had this idea actually for a podcast, I was like, oh, this sounds amazing. It's about romance and stuff. And I kind of just basically just jumped on board to be co-host. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this with you. And we didn't think that we would have like regular listeners and people who would
wanted to come on our show.
Yeah, like never thought that this would happen. I mean, we're really, really humble. Just at the thought of just people liking our episodes. It's just really nice to know that people enjoy our craziness. And
yeah, I think it's funny because this is genuinely what we are like normally, and so we're not putting on anything special or doing, we're not putting on an act or anything. We're just being ourselves, and it's really fun. It's weird that people enjoy us as just being who we are. Like, I find that kind of odd at times. I'm just like, okay.
No, it's true.
Well, I was gonna say that I think I didn't know you guys that well, and yeah, that is what you guys put off, more of a I don't know, not shy, I don't know the word, but you're kind of low key on social media and stuff, and so I was pretty delightfully surprised when I started listening to your podcast, and I was like, whoa, whoa, I was like, they go there. I was like, they go all the way there.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, sorry.
And you guys have Sean to thank for that too, because I think he directed me to your podcast, or he posted it. I think I found it through him somehow anyway, and I was just like, oh, what's this? A romance podcast. And I hadn't even been listening to podcasts before that.
Wow.
So yeah. Now you have a loyal listener.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
And you owe him, I guess, or something.
Oh yeah, like 100%. That guy.
I owe Sean a lot of things.
You're like, I don't want him anymore.
That man, that's Sean, man. No, honestly, I owe Sean a lot of things. I love that man. I love that guy.
He's amazing. Like we have our own little WhatsApp group called Made in Bromance.
But he started when we did the podcast for it. Now I think he regrets doing it because me and Sam quite say some quite strange things.
We do. We just drop it. We just drop our crazy, like, out there stuff, and poor Sean, just gets dragged into it.
He's just like, okay, you two are weird. To be honest, he's quite used to it from speaking to me for so long. And of course, me and Sean have actually met in person, so we're good buddies.
That's
cool. But yeah, it was funny when we first started this podcast, and I was the one who suggested the episode that we originally started with, and Sab was like, well, okay, if we're going to go out there, we might as well go out there with a huge bang. And she was just like, well, if that's what you really want to talk about, I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. Because I think I remember it'd been like, I'd been talking to someone, and I was like, and I'd seen all these reviews, and they just irritated me how judgmental towards women people could be. And I was like, let's talk about women being judgmental. Let's do it. And then it just became this thing.
I love your guys'
topics. Well, I'm glad, because we sometimes go, are people actually going to enjoy this topic?
Yeah.
And it's always the podcast that we don't expect people to enjoy that become like our best ones.
Oh yeah, like what is that one? We don't want this in our sexy times, or is that the one? That was the one, right?
That podcast has become very popular. Like,
That was the one.
Oh, jeez.
I was cracking up that day. I think I blew up both of you guys' direct messages, and you were probably like, "What? Who is this girl? What do you want?"
I swear.
To me that they laughed. One person said to me they'd never laughed so much in a what. I was just like, well, to be fair, I knew when we did that podcast that it was going to be popular and people were going to want to listen to it because it was sex scenes, and that kind of gets people listening.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I want to know.
I was gonna say that. I thought I screwed it up towards the end, where I just did it. I just came out with some random topic, and I was thinking, oh my god, what have I done? Are people just gonna
I was really worried that people would think we were weird because of what we've read, and I was like, no, people are probably just going to think. I think people already think we're weird, so part of the course, really, that we've read that sort of thing.
I mean, I think it just covers romance in general. Like, I mean, it was relative to the topic of romance. All of it was.
That's good.
Romance goes there, so you guys go there. But yeah, I feel. I just wonder who, like, because I was in the library. I just like to imagine where other people were listening to that and laughing. I just want to know what they were doing and where they were, and if people were staring at them weird. Because it would be really hard if I was in public. I would be holding in my laughter, and it would be really hard, and people would be like, "You weirdo."
I dread to think like that some people who listened to that episode had it like they were cooking, and we brought up like food, and like I wonder how many like looked in the fridge and saw eggplants and was like, well, I mean, it's just
maybe I'm not gonna make that tonight.
People now thinking twice about pancakes. Like, I don't know, you know.
Honestly, it took me a long time to get to like look at grapes again in the same way. Just gonna put that out there. I can't.
Oh my gosh! I'm just ready for another episode like that. Like, I just want to laugh like that again. It's good. It's good for us right now. Everyone going through everything. It's good to laugh. So I'm already looking forward to you guys' next episode. That is going to raise eyebrows.
We've got to come up with some new topics, Sab.
Yeah, clearly we do. Yeah, jeez, we really have to go to the drawing board on this one now.
We've got to bring it.
Got to up our game.
People are asking for.
Damn.
For us to talk about.
Give the people what they want.
Real subjects that no one else wants to talk about.
Jeez.
I'm sure we can.
You're already there. I don't think anyone's that brave. I haven't. At least I haven't encountered that.
Well, we'll just put it out there. If anyone has a topic that they want us to discuss, please get in touch with us, and we will.
Oh God, I started something.
We will take up the mantle, okay? Depending on what it is, we will. Seriously, if you want us to discuss something that you think is really funny or important, please let us know, and we will try and include it in one of our episodes, because we actually really like it when listeners get involved, okay? And also, if you're
going to have some messages.
And if anyone wants to come on as a guest, we are also welcoming anyone on the podcast show that wants to talk about romance. And yes, it has to be related to romance in some way.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for letting me come on, because I just kind of asked. I wasn't invited.
Hey, man.
I was like, I invited myself to the podcast.
We were more than happy to have you on, so thank you. Thank you. Well, let's kind of wrap this in.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on our podcast, because we really appreciate it.
It's been lovely.
Thank you so much for having me.
It has been really lovely.
Thank you both.
Yeah, it's been really lovely. So, guys, that was the latest episode of the Maiden Romance podcast. Again, thank you to Kathey for coming on, and we will see you again very soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.